Hi, and welcome back to the G&P Lounge. Or should I say, Pauline's Salon, after the great haircut that she gave me today. So today, we're going to be doing a tiki drink. Now, some of you probably remember from some of the prior videos that tiki genre is one of my favorite sort of types of drinks, or the idea of tiki I really get into. I don't always love the drinks that can be a bit too sweet, but I love the idea of them, and I love the whole kitsch that goes with tiki. So, so this was a special request. Shout out to Sarah for this request, and we're gonna actually do two versions of this today. We're gonna do the traditional, or sort of official version, and we're also gonna do a martini version for those of you that like your martinis, like us. All right, so the Painkiller, as I said, it's a tiki drink, but it really comes in at the very end of the whole tiki craze. So tiki craze really was petering out in the 70s, and this drink comes to us from the early 1970s. It actually was developed at a bar in the British Virgin Islands, a bar by the name of the Soggy Dollar Bar. And the reason it was called the Soggy Dollar Bar is because it was on the edge of a white sand beach where there was no dock, and so people who wanted to go to the bar, they'd take their boats and they'd have to, drop anchor, moor their boats out in the water, and then swim to shore. Obviously, swimming to shore, their money got wet, their dollars got wet. Soggy Dollar Bar. So in any event, so this bar, owned by Daphne Henderson, became a bit of a famous bar, and it's actually still there today. I recommend and urge you all to look it up. And she came up with this drink that became pretty famous among the islands. And it was a secret recipe drink. Nobody knew what was in it, but everybody loved it. In fact, so many people loved it, word spread far and wide, and you had these boaters coming from all around the Caribbean to try this drink. Well, one of the people who came to try the drink was a gentleman by the name of Charles Tobias. And he's a really fascinating character on his own right, and if you're into history or really interesting people, go look him up, because there's a whole ton to read about him. So Charles Tobias one day takes his boat, he parks offshore, he swims up to the bar, he goes in, and he has the drink, and he absolutely loves it. He likes the bar, he starts chatting with Daphne, and he really likes her. The two of them strike up a friendship that went on for years. Over the course of the next 2 years, Charles kept going back to the bar over and over again, and it kept eating at him as to what was in this drink. So he kept trying to get Daphne to tell him, but she wouldn't. He tried again, and nothing. She wouldn't tell him. So one day, after about 2 years, one Sunday afternoon, as he says, after killing his pain having many of these drinks, he snuck one away, and he got it back to his boat, and then he took his boat back to his home in the island of Tortola, and he started trying to deconstruct the drink and what was in it. So over the course of the next week, he experimented with all the different concoctions to see if he could match it. Finally, aha, he did it. So exactly a week after he had absconded with that drink from Daphne's bar, he goes back, goes in, and triumphantly says, I've done it, I know it's in the drink, and I've actually made it better. Needless to say, you can imagine Daphne didn't agree with him, so she said, I challenge you to a $100 bet to see whose drink is better. Now, on this particular Sunday afternoon, there were about 10 people in the bar, and then the bet was $100, which one's better, and they asked all 10 people to try both versions. Blind taste test, and hands down, unanimous, all 10 said Charles's version was better. So he won $100, and as legend has it, he used the $100 to buy drinks for everybody for the rest of the afternoon. So as I said, he's an interesting character, go look him up. So he then had his own version of the drink that he then served in his bar and restaurant and so on that he had. And he actually went on to trademark the drink as Pusser's Painkiller. Now, Charles had gotten special permission to market a Caribbean rum under the name Pusser's, and actually the company's still in business today. It's actually all worldwide. It's a great rum, great company. And here you can see the British Navy Pusser's rum. So he has to say, he trademarked the name Pusser's Painkiller. We'll come back to that a little bit later on. So it became really famous, and we're going to do his official trademark version first, and then we're going to do the martini version. So let's start with the official version. Pauline spins our nice little countertop bar. We've had, you got to do what you have to get through these days. All right, so we're going to start off, as I said, with the rum, with the Pusser's rum. And by the way, Pusser's is the one that's called for in this official recipe, but really any dark rum or Navy strength rum will do. And in fact, quite a few people make it with Myers Jamaican rum. Now, the Pusser's rum, the Jamaican rum, these dark rums, they're a lot more rich and complex in their flavor. your lighter rums won't really hold up in the drink, and so that's why you need these type of rums to make this drink. All right, so we're going to start off, we're going to do 2 ounces of the rum. Then we're going to do 4 ounces of pineapple juice. It may not look it, considering this is in a olive brine recycled container, but this is in fact pineapple juice in here. And by the way, this is a little tip I'll share, that when you get like a big can of pineapple juice or anything else and you're not going to use all of it, use it, recycle your containers, use glass jars or whatever, and basically break it up, and then you can refrigerate and save stuff to use repeatedly. All right, so that's 4 ounces of the pineapple juice. Then we're going to do 1 ounce of coconut, cream of coconut. This is something, not everybody has this in their pantry, but you can get it at most major supermarkets. You can actually get it at some liquor stores as well. It's used in several different of the tropical tiki drinks. And I will mention, so you have to refrigerate it once you open it, and I didn't take it out. You have to take it out hours in advance to get it to room temperature so that it's not too thick. So I have to use my spoon to get it out of the shaker here. All right, and last we put in some orange juice. Now, up until the orange juice, some of you may have noticed that this is an awful lot like a pina colada. And you would be correct, it is. And in fact, some people think that the pina colada was the basis for the painkiller. But the difference here is we add orange juice, which the pina colada does not have, and one final ingredient. And that final ingredient is nutmeg. Now, ideally, you want to use fresh nutmeg and actually grind it in, grind it up and put it in. But these days, that's not so easy to get. So I'm just using a little bit of this. You just want to put a little bit in, not too much. You can also dust this over the top of your drink at the end. That's sort of the traditional way to do it. But the problem with that is, depending on what glass you use, sometimes it gets lost with the ice. So I'm just putting it right in so it mixes in. Throw some ice. Ingredients in. I'm going to make a comment on the shaking with this. Unlike a lot of drinks, because of the cream of coconut, which is really thick, actually even if it's at room temperature, it's pretty thick, you really have to shake this a bit to get it all mixed in. All right, now, this drink calls for one of 3 types of glasses that you would serve it in. Some people serve it in the Harkin glass, right, which is lovely shape. I only like to use these for Harkins, and of course this is a plastic one, which I really don't like to use unless I'm drinking outside. The other option would be a brandy snifter. By the way, anybody from Beta that's watching, note the Dragon Formal 1988 vintage glass. And then last would be a tiki mug, which is my preferred way to drink it. My preferred way to drink all of the tiki drinks, quite frankly. All right. We're going to put some ice in our tiki mug. I usually would do crushed ice, but I'm just throwing the ice in. You don't always do things exactly the way you should here at the GMP Lounge. As long as it tastes good. Just going to pour that in. And of course, all tiki drinks should be garnished with an umbrella. With a cherry, because Pauline really likes cherries. And a straw, so you can drink it. So there you have, that's the traditional Hustler's Painkiller. Now we're going to do the martini version, and this is a bit of an experiment. I've made a couple different versions now, and I'm not happy with the way any of them turned out, but I think I'm on the right track. So we're going to try one now and see if we can nail it. All right, so this one, we're not doing the juices because it's being a martini, it's going to be primarily alcohol. Or I should say, we're not using a lot of juice. So we're going to start off with coconut rum. Now, I mentioned earlier about for the traditional painkiller, you want to use the dark rum. But this being a martini, we're going to do a little different. So we're going to do 3 ounces of the coconut rum. Coconut rum's a little bit sweet, it's light. So we're going to follow that. We're going to do 1 ounce of the Pusser's rum. Give it a little bit of that more complex, rich flavor. Alright, so that gives us our coconut and our rum. So now we still need our pineapple, and for that I'm actually going to add some pineapple juice because there's not a good substitute for that. Alright, that's 2 ounces of that. Now we also need to add our orange in somehow, but we're not going to use orange juice. Instead, we're going to use an orange liqueur. Now you can, the sort of the martini version you find online uses Grand Marnier. I'm not a huge fan of Grand Marnier. I've tried making this with that. I don't really like it that way. So I'm going to use Cointreau, which to me has much more of an orange flavor. Grand Marnier, you can take, the oranges just sort of takes a backseat. So I'm going to use 1 ounce of the Cointreau. This. Alright, almost forgot. Can't forget the nutmeg. Add that in. Give that a shake because we've got the pineapple juice in there. So unlike some of the other martinis that we stir, which are all alcohol, this one with the juice in, we want to make sure it gets all frothy and infused as well. You might notice I've already put a cherry on the bottom of this glass. Both of these drinks, by the way, the traditional garnishes for the painkiller, whether it be in the sort of traditional form or in a martini form, is going to be a pineapple wedge or an orange wheel, because you're basically accentuating the pineapple and orange flavors in the drink. All right, so there we go. Now, drum roll please. Let's try this and see how close we've come. That's pretty darn close and quite tasty. I'll be enjoying this for the rest of the afternoon. All of you, stay safe, stay healthy, and enjoy whatever it is that you're drinking. Cheers.